Good evening.
Good evening.
We are here, and once again, it is our great pleasure to be in your reality. So we are starting to attract more and more of those who are wanting to claim the mantle of awareness. And we are pleased. We are the Pleiadians, and this is August number 4, 2016, and we are gathered here, as we have been for many moons now, at the Dancing Moon. A cozy gathering. It is called Moon Musing, number 126. That is the number of the class. And as always, the first Thursday of the month, we give a bit of a highlight of what you are dealing with, along with our vehicles interpretations as well. And then after our delivery, we will open up to worthwhile questions. Puts a little pressure on you tonight. There's a lot of people here. What we require is that the questions you ask benefit everyone, not just your own, let's say, small curiosity. So we invite you to think, to expand your energy field. So before we start, let's get everyone on the same page, and we do that with the imagination. It's for free. It's yours. You can use it in unlimited capacity. And as our vehicle was saying to you, you are in a big financial collapse worldwide, fall of empires, fall of governments, fall of systems, fall of, let's say, a stable view of civilization. That is the truth. Which, in order to manage these times, and you have come here to manage the times, to rethink things, to learn and to apply your thoughts, so that your thoughts, your ideas, your words are what paves your way from now into the future that you choose. So everyone with their eyes open and without moving, imagine that coming out of the bottom of your feet, there's a big, thick, almost 8 inches or 12-inch diameter, big rope. Something that you would see on a large old ship from long ago, very large. And this rope can be made out of hemp, if you like it, but it can be made of gold, silver, platinum, or all combined. And there can be jewels encrusted within it, and at the bottom of this big rope, it's going to go down and down into the earth and connect each and every one of you with your imagination to the center of the earth. And at the end of that rope, we would like you to picture a basketball-sized gem of some sort. If you want a big ball of gold, that works. If you want a big ball of amethyst, rose quartz, emerald, anything you can think of, hematite, that would really ground you in. Use your imagination, because it is your imagination that takes you from here to everywhere. And when you dare, not just to dream, but when you dare to intend and picture and feel, and you don't have to see a movie to picture. It is the idea that creates the visualization. So grounding cord, that's what we call the grounding cord. And if you want to figure things out, you'd best ground yourself every day. When you first wake up in the morning, drop that grounding cord to the center of the earth and say to yourself, I am here, in the now, alive and well, and it's going to be a grand day. Then you want to always put up a good aura. Not too big, because you get yourself in trouble. There's lots of no-goodniks out and about between the dimensions. Used to be a lot of just mischief makers, but today there's a lot of very dark energies afoot. And because your world leaders are so corrupt all over the world, that they have called in very dark forces. So these dark forces come through computers, they come through TVs, they can be taken on through the gaming industry, pornography, violent sports, rock and rolls, debased sexuality, violent everything, violent commercials. The entities, you welcome them in when you watch things unconsciously that debase and degrade the human experience. So aura up, and picture your aura about 6 inches out from your body, and use the traditional golden arches. That will help you remember it. Gold from the front to the back, and from right to left, left to right. And keep a good, strong, egg-shaped aura of a golden nature. This acts as a protection, but more than that. The more you use your intention and your imagination to augment your reality, the more successful you are going to be. Worry negates everything. If you have to be in a state of, let's say, agitation or anxiety, call it concern rather than worry. As soon as you say, I'm so worried about, you weaken your immune system. A weakened immune system puts a lot of money in other people's pockets, not yours. You do not really want to make a life of running to one medical doctor after another, one operation after another, and one pill after another. You have never been exposed in modern times to so much opportunity that if you would pursue it, you could learn about the herbs, the minerals, the vitamins, the different habits that you could develop that would keep you strong, flexible, and more than that, healthy, very important, but thinking clearly. One of the reasons that cell phones are requested to stay in the automobiles, in other words, no cell phones are welcomed or allowed, no electronic devices, because they are giving off a type of frequencies, microwaves, radiation, you name it. These things weaken your energy field. Not only they weaken the energy field, they mess up the nervous system. They weaken your immune system. And we call it Wi-Fi, you call it Wi-Fi, we call it Wi-Fry. That's what you are doing. You're frying yourselves. And it is happening so slowly. You have a story on your planet. This is about a frog being boiled in water. Not that anyone has done this. However, the idea is that the heat is turned up so slowly that the frog does not hop out of the water. It so slowly cooks. You are, based on this technology that everyone cannot part themselves from, you are slowly cooking yourselves and creating what is called a global cognitive failure. That means you cannot think clearly. This is why many people cannot assess a simple situation. And you are being played, many people, to emotionally react. And these emotional games are a type of psychological warfare. In the media, there's no randomness. Everything is calculated to mess up people's minds, to weaken you, so that you can be more easily governed, so that you will, in terms of the USA, throw out your Constitution and your Bill of Rights and all these things, and let everything sort of fall into chaos, and you will have rules, regulation, surveillance, rules, regulation, surveillance, and this is one of the goals for worldwide hegemony. On the other hand, people all over the globe are resisting globalization. They don't want to have a government in another country dictate their policies. And if you understand what you have been working for since the Magna Carta, which was a document, a declaration of human rights from the 1200s, the Magna Carta, it was a victory in freedom for people, so that you did not have to be afraid that in your home someone can take it away or grab you in the night. In America, you have become consumers rather than producers. You consume goods, consume very bad food, very bad drinks, and you consume endless amounts of, pardon our expression, bullshit. And you take it in as people and can't figure out what's true and what's not. Now, to be fair, we have given big forewarning and suggested that this year, the year of 2016, can be summarized as a year of confusion. Just a little background, this confusion is based on some astrological relationships in the heavens. The planet Saturn, which says grow up, get real. Here's reality. The planet Neptune, that is foggy, secretive, and creates uncertainty. And a lot of deception. These two planets are in what astrologers call a challenging aspect. It began in Thanksgiving of 2015. It really blew up in June of 2016, and it will really reach its peak of the message on September number 9 of the next moon from now, this 2016 September. These two relationships are being purposely exploited now by politicos, psychoanalysts, all these people who help mix up the public. So first of all, as a people, you must not only say it's going to be a great day, but you must move your devices out of your life a bit and restore clear thinking. Drink plenty of water. Get out in nature, watch the evening skies, track the moon, and start thinking for yourselves. Otherwise, you're going to lose the ability to make decisions. And for many people, Alzheimer's has already arrived, far before its due date. People are purposely checking out because they're afraid to know. It's too negative, they say. Oh, so you want lies instead of the truth? So we ask each of you to ask yourself right now, what kind of person am I? Am I a clear thinker? Do I want to know the truth? Or am I an ostrich, where I would rather put my head in the sand or perhaps head in the clouds so that you don't have to see what's really true? Truth can be painful, but once you see the truth of something, you can make a clear decision. Really, 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 really important for each of you to understand that there is not one future to pick from. You are not like a big buffalo herd that someone is forcing over a cliff, even though the large majority of non-thinkers will be part of a buffalo herd that will go over a cliff and they will lose everything. The gift and the benefit of even a quarter of a teaspoon of awareness is that you start to think for yourself. You say, if this is all psychological warfare and my thoughts create my reality, and this is a big game going on to steer people away from spiritual awakening and into fear, I'm not going to buy the fear. I'm going to use my mind to think clearly. So our next question would be to each of you, what do you want? What do you want? You have to really think about that. But in the meantime, the answer, a good mantra to say to yourself every day, I am always in the right place at the right time. I follow and listen to my inner guidance. Everything works out better than I imagined. Because the power of thought does not have to know how things happen, but you darn well better pull the bow back and send an arrow out. The arrow is your thoughts for what you want, how you want to experience it. And as we said, there's many futures. You may end up in a reality that is has a few more shock absorbers to it, a few more cushions. That's the benefit of awareness. Those who are lazy, who are unaware, who can't think, they're not going to end up in very pleasant situations. And perhaps you've noticed this. Perhaps you've noticed among your friends, your families, your colleagues, your aging parents, that the meds, the negative attitudes, the confusion, the limiting beliefs are self-fulfilling prophecies. So without being delusional, be brave, be courageous, be generous, because these are super interesting times. That's what the Chinese offer to you, the curse of may you live in interesting times. These are super duper interesting times, and the advancements that you make are for the advancements of humankind, and for you, your soul, the ability to see the bigger and bigger picture of reality. So that said, we still have 6 more weeks of summer, just past the cross quarter, Lamas, and the conventions for now have completed themselves, big circus and carnivals. Then the Olympics will unfold. Remember, the Olympics are originally the games that the gods, the Olympian gods, the 12 Olympian gods from Greece, anchored onto your world. And the Olympics were always a demonstration of physical prowess, way back in the gods' days, to demonstrate the readiness to be a warrior. And so Olympics traditionally are a demonstration of athletic prowess in preparation for war. And we will add this final suggestion. The war drums are beating, friends. And many people will take you to war to cover up the massive global financial failure that is rapidly unfolding. Be cognizant of this and offer your prayers, your intentions for a stable world where dark forces are neutralized, and without you knowing how, that things work out better than you can imagine. All right, that said, let's give it a go. We're open for questions now, and we'll start off with a few of our regulars, and then of course we'll open it up to some of the new attendees. So let's go for it. Moon Musings number 126. Who would like to begin?
Hey, is this Dorsey?
Dorsey, welcome.
All right. Thank you. I have a question for us. I know that the Anunnaki, my question is, are we under Inca's rule right now? I know they said they were talking between 2,000 years and then 2012. Was that the point of Inca's rule now?
Well, let's give some background here. What Dorsey is asking is the question of rulership on the planet by visiting extraterrestrials, called the Anunnaki, which means those who from heaven to earth came. These visitors entered Earth 500,000 years ago. 300,000 years ago, there was a big mutiny. About 200,000, 150,000 years ago, they created a primitive worker from which you are the descendants. They have ruled your planet for a long, long time, and within the last, let's say, 5, 6, 7,000 years, Anu, the chief emperor of this grand empire, decreed that his children were misbehaving, and his children tend to live at least 1 million years, if not more, so there's a big headache. You think you have problems with your children. This Anu does not know what to do with these outrageous extraterrestrial children who have become your gods, by the way, and who were part of the 12 Olympians, etc. Nonetheless, he has 2 sons that have ruled Earth, Enlil and Enki, and years, many, many millennia ago, he said, I've had it with you, you troublemaker kids here. You're supposed to run Earth and run the mining expedition. You're going to take turns. You're going to each have a 2,200-year period of rulership. So in the U.S., you give your president 4 years. Anu decided to be generous and give 2,200 years. So this is where the ages play in. You hear about the ages, change of ages, the 12 ages. So basically a new rulership took over about a little over 2,000 years ago. From your point of view, it is the rise of the Judeo-Christian religions, etc. And it was pretty much Enlil's reign, you understand? And then it was usurped by the character that passed as Jesus. So there was contention. Enlil is the strict God from heaven that says, better behave or I will punish you. Jesus, on the other hand, said, turn the other cheek. Be kind, be generous. So you have absorption of Enlil's reign. So who's reigning now? They're fighting, as they have been fighting. They don't follow the rules. So you have Enki, the one who created the humans. It looks like it's going to be his turn, so to speak, in the age of Aquarius. But other family members will stoop to conquer. And to some extent, the Russians are very, very in on this. This is why you keep hearing the mention of Putin, and this is why Putin is involved in, let's say, leaks of emails and different variations. How this can be broken up, one could say, and it's not a definite line of demarcation, but it looks as if the U.S., under Obama, etc., that whole phalanx of criminals, is being used by one branch of the Anunnaki because of the military might of the USA. London is used for the financial might. And even though there's prime ministers and this, the Queen manages it all. She's the Anunnaki representation on Earth. And the Pope, again, is another pillar of the Anunnaki representation on Earth. Crowns, crosses, military, this is all Anunnaki. But Mr. Putin, he is being backed by a different group. And he is sort of backing the trumpet, as you call him. Let's just say nothing is really clear right now. And the confusion that you have on Earth, it can be summed up as above, so below. There's a lot of confusion and a lot of mutinies occurring in the heavens. There's no given answer for anything at this time. Who else has a question, please?
This is David.
David, welcome.
I just got another book that I discussed with your vehicle, and you probably sound like a broken record because I think I brought it up at 3 different channelings. The Missing 411, about people missing, different types of people all over, well, mainly U.S. and Canada that he's focused on, but it seems to be going on all over.
All over the world, yes, that people disappear under very strange circumstances.
So the latest book I got is one about hunters, and the guy that does the book compared fishermen to hunters. Very, 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 very few fishermen disappear. Hunters have disappeared in some pretty strange circumstances, and they kind of run the gamut from older to younger, and a lot of the same types of patterns as in the college educated or the highly educated technical guy in college that disappears outside the bar. And I was wondering, are these, one of the questions that the author asks is why are they taking hunters? What is it about them? And I was thinking, is it possible that they want that for artificial intelligence to put into, to scan these guys' brain or their DNA or whatever, to put into these artificial soldiers or whatever? Or
That's a good thought, David. In other words, a hunter would have very different skills than someone sitting in the sun, casting out, doing a bit of daydreaming, looking for trout, etc. You understand, it sounds like there's fisher people here. Fishing, unless you're deep sea fishing, even so, it can be more of a dreamer's sport. Do you understand? It's very peaceful. It's like a type of meditation. Hunting, tree stand, very alert, using camouflage, sometimes covering the scent. Now, we suggested that a few things. In your research, David, and some of the other research Sue has done, that these snatchings have gone back to the 1800s. So it's not a new phenomenon. And remember, even here in North Carolina, we believe you had the lost colony, yes?
Yes.
All the people disappeared. And this has happened around the planet, various places. Australia had a large group of people just vanish. Now, obviously, you are dealing with visitors that have been buzzing your world for at least 500,000 years. That's 500,000 years. And it's only recently, in the last 50 years, the way you have had computers that would allow you to create databases, to run statistical analysis, to compare. Even if you got a ticket in one county in the 50s, you could skate free in the next county. They had the bookkeeping, the reciprocity, it was all, you could get away with so much. Today, everything is on record, but so too are these disappearances. So yes, the hunters would offer a very valuable database as trackers, as survivors. And we have suggested that some of the predominance, one type of snatching tends to be young men, very focused on young computer type or smart young fellows between 18 and about 35. And the protocol is they go out drinking with some friends in a bar or at a party. Friends become separated. They wait for the person to come out to the bathroom. The person never comes out to the bathroom. They disappear. They're found in water days later or months later. And sometimes they are found as if they were taken the day before. No one sees a thing, even when these people are on video camera. They're there one moment, gone the next. So, few things going on. The creep factor is this. Humans have been used for food, occasionally, throughout the millennia, occasionally. a snatch here, a snatch there. Sometimes many people have been used for abductions. They're abducted in the sleep state. Some are taken right out through the roof of their house, and they are impregnated. Sperm is taken, eggs are taken, and as bizarre as this is, people have been reporting this for many decades. Some women have even reported in these types of quasi-dimensional experiences that they are given little extraterrestrial babies to hold and nurture. So you have the food element of humans being food. You have the genetic experimentation of human DNA being utilized to seed various new species. But again, we have said Earth is a genetic laboratory. It has been set up this way. It is a living library that the Anunnaki have invaded and taken advantage of. And then number three, another creep factor, that slowly on your world in the last few years you have been favored by futuristic ideas about artificial intelligence. We call it arti-intel. And it seems it's in the future, and how could it be? Yet today, robots are appearing left and right. By the end of the year, next year, you're going to see a lot of robotic animation. No one is going to want to pay people $15 an hour, sorry to say that, when robots are far more efficient. Robots need to have human-like understanding of reality. The far plan of the beings who want to take over your world is not to rely on humans break down, and humans have emotions, and emotions cannot be counted on by the visiting extraterrestrials. We've always said your emotional component is your wild card, your unpredictability, your ability to say, I'm not doing this, I'm waking up, I'm changing my mind. This is your treasure. Yet, you do not make good governors for the visiting extraterrestrials. So they are going to replace eventually 10, 15 years, the rulers with artificial intelligence. The soldiers, some of the space soldiers, some of the earth-based soldiers, some of the underwater soldiers, underground soldiers, are being augmented as humans with artificial intelligence. And yes, this is why one of the databases that the hunters offer for the advancement of artificial intelligence. Anything else, David?
Oh, that's it.
Who else has a question?
I'm Karina.
Karina, welcome.
Thank you. I was so glad that you brought our consciousnesses to the that golden egg-shaped aura. I try to do that in the mornings lately.
No trying. Trying is a word that just...
I do it, that actually.
Good. You see, she substituted do.
Yeah.
When you say, any of you, I am trying to, forget it, you are failing. That is a bad word. You can say bullshit, we said it, it's fine. But not trying. Trying implies failure, and remember, awareness is paying attention to the words you use. So that was a good save. What's your question, Karina?
Yeah, I feel really good about that.
But we want to encourage you to put that aura up 6 times a day.
6 times.
How long does it take to imagine that? 1 second? 1 second is how many seconds in a minute?
60.
Could you spare 6 seconds? That's 1 second 6 times a day.
Yes.
And for you, all you really newbies, maybe a dozen times a day. Once an hour, 1 second, aura up. But please continue.
Just along that line, would you say that there's a particular process of putting it forward? Like you said, the golden arches, do we put it forward like a shield, like any particular way?
You are gnawing it like a dog on a bone.
Okay.
There's not an incorrect way to do it. Using the imagination is however you want it, but avoid doing the big aura. It is like a bradagio walking down the street with a cigar and a big pot belly and throwing gold coins everywhere. You want a lot of attention, then the no-goodniks are going to come after you. Tight, close, golden. And if you are feeling that you are particularly vulnerable, then you triple it up. One aura, another aura an inch out, another aura an inch out. You demonstrate your intelligence by your ability to think of it and to do it, rather than going about life and then saying, oh, I forgot to do it these last 2 weeks. That's not very aware. And so the more you are able to visualize and take seconds out of your day to put down what you want, well, it's going to be a great day, this is going to work out fine, aura up, seconds. The more the neural pathways will start to feel, oh good, we've got an intelligent one here, finally, our human being is using its body, its skills. That's what it demonstrates. And it's just the beginning of many more things that you will, ideally in your own cleverness, start to imagine for yourself. You can imagine anything you want. Or what's your question?
So,
or did you ask it?
Yes, thank you. In the morning, once every morning, when I do that, which is what I've been doing, I also bring forward inside, which makes a whole difference in my day, with my children, in my world, my level of happiness, is bringing forth like that violet ray, or violet flame, or whatever, and that just seems like it adds, like the law of forgiveness or whatever, just that cleansing sort of feeling. When I don't do that, I feel really kind of grouchy and irritable towards my kids. When I do it, I feel a lot better. Are there any disadvantages to doing that, or is there?
But it's a rot. The violet ray, right. The law of forgiveness. These are not your words.
Right.
So you are copying someone else without really understanding what you are doing. Because if you understood what you are doing, you wouldn't be asking the question. Use your mind to create. Be inventive. Be original. That's what we are going to say. Who else has a question, please?
Thank you.
Peace, this is Christopher.
Christopher, welcome.
Thank you. I'm going back to Darcy's subject. I'm intrigued by a recent political maneuver. As we may know, some of us may know, there was a coup, an attempted coup, which appears to be a false coup.
We are talking about Turkey?
Yes. And within the next few weeks, Erdogan, who is the leader of Turkey, will be visiting Putin in Russia to negotiate. What they're negotiating, no one knows. But it strikes me that perhaps Putin seems to be trying to reassemble the Byzantine Empire with Russia as its kind of seat or center.
Yes, and understanding that Erdogan, Recep Erdogan, is the president, premier, whatever he's calling himself, of Turkey. And Turkey was, a long time ago, Turkey was called Anatolia. Anatolia. And it was considered to be a bridge. If you look at the shape of it, it is like Florida on its side. A big bridge between Asia and Europe. And our vehicle, and we visited Turkey a few decades ago now. And one of the guides that was part of the group, and the Turkish guide, Muslim man, that advised the tour where the antiquities were, he said that out of all of the things that have been discovered in Turkey, that he felt only 10% of what was in Turkey had been acknowledged, and only 1% had been excavated. In other words, Turkey is sitting on antiquities that could go back to the Anunnaki. Remember, Turkey is just above the headwaters of the Tigris-Euphrates, and the Tigris-Euphrates Mesopotamian area was the original home of the Anunnaki and their space center until the flood 13,000 years ago. Then the space center was moved to Jerusalem. So it would be in Putin's interest and the Anunnaki that are backing Putin to, yes, reestablish the Byzantine Empire. The founder of Turkey, what was his name there? Mustafa. Ataturk. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. And he formed Turkey, 100 years ago or some such, as a secular society, meaning government and religion are separated, which is what people all over the world have been fighting for forever, separate church and state. Now you're moving back towards that because the Anunnaki rule is returning and they want worship once again from people. So we would say, Christopher, you've pieced some things together there, that there's a worldwide hegemony going on, and looks as if they want to include the trumpet in it. Understand this. All the human players would be being used. Trump in particular. Trump has no idea how much he is being used. Putin, he's a little bit more of a savvy player. He knows the politics. Trump, unfortunately, does not understand the world game. Anything else, Christopher?
Well, I'm also curious by consequence of this man Gulen.
Say it again, please, and much louder.
I'm also curious by consequence of this man Gulen, Gulen is a Sufist who's in the United States, who Erdogan wants to extradite so that he can prosecute him in Turkey. He's blaming this man Gulen on...
Oh, for the coup.
For the coup.
Yes.
But everything that I'm able to read about this person, this Gulen, he's an imam.
On the East Coast someplace, yes.
Yes, and I think in Boston area. And he promotes education, moderation. It seems to me the type of person who would want to raise consciousness and not start revolutions. But that's just my suspicion. I don't know if that has any validity. So I'm just curious to know a little bit more about this man.
We do not have a lot on this man, but we will say this to you. People have publicists, and they put out a story about who they are. And then you think that that's who they are. This is called the year of confusion. And so you can read all you want about people, but until you meet them and you get a real read on them, you're not going to know. This is part of psychological warfare. Oh, I like so-and-so, or they say that so-and-so is this, but what do you really know? We'll tie this up with this reminder. We've suggested that in this year of confusion, all over the world, it's not just the USA, all over the world, the confusion, the lies, the deceit, the disinformation, it's all going to come to a head. You're living in a fantasy, political fantasy, financial fantasy, and a worldwide delusionment. Once these bubbles pop, there will be lots of shock, lots of dismay. And for those of you who are resilient and who keep your sea legs, your psychic abilities will double this year. Likely, you will get that big bump in psychic awareness by end of August, middle of September. And we have suggested also in a tag on here that there could be massive buyer remorse in this country over both political conventions. As this awareness builds, end of summer, September, and people get clear vision about everything around the world, the psychic abilities, this ability to see through, not what you want, but what's there, this is going to be the saving grace of people. What percentage would experience this? A small percentage, few percent around the planet. But that's all it takes. Because once you are able to tap into ability, it creates a frequency. And that frequency then can be copied, felt, emulated by others who are ready but not popped. Who else has a question, please?
My name's Michael.
Michael, welcome, loud and clear.
Thank you. My question, or I was looking for your perception, you've mentioned the financial reset, which will obviously cause havoc, but I also understand that there's a wave of energy that's going to be coming, and maybe it's what you were just referring to about which will influence the consciousness of individuals. And I was wanting to get your perception of this wave of energy that's going to be hitting, that's going to be affecting that consciousness.
We know nothing about it, really.
Okay, it's from my own spiritual teacher, but it's more of...
There's no fixing and no saving what's coming.
Well, I don't think it's a saving of what's coming.
Good.
It sounded very similar to what you were saying in that this energy that's... My perception is that the Earth is moving through the universe, and as it moves, it enters different parts of the universe that have different levels and types of energy. That energy affects the human, or maybe it just affects the consciousness. I'm not clear on that. But my understanding is that it would help, like you were saying, bring about the ability to have the higher psychic abilities, the better connection to their higher self, or a clearer connection.
Yeah, in that regard, we would agree, but we are suggesting that for some, this gift will come because they have been working towards it. In other words, they earned it. If you are overweight, living on beer and junk, and you get your snacks at the local gas station convenience store, no wave of anything is going to help you.
Yeah, and I don't think I was necessarily think it was going to help everybody.
It's going to help hardly anyone in the larger context, but those who have been invested in their awareness will find a big boost of energy to help them make better decisions. Part of expanding your consciousness, investing in yourself, cutting out all the confusion and becoming more aware, is that so that you will be healthier, clearer thinker, and make better decisions. So that you are not swept up in stepping off and getting into a river and getting all the chaos that's out there. And yet, as we see these opportunities unfolding for people, people are making excuses. It's too hard. Or the other side is someone's going to save us. These energies, these shifts in consciousness occur periodically. Sometimes you do cross a zone of space, although that's quite a simplistic way of looking at it. When you cross a zone of space, it's going to affect the entire globe, usually on a very, very big, disturbing level. It's not easy. It's not easy to suddenly come into energy that forces your cells into greater activity. It's not a kumbaya. For a lot of people, it's insanity. They run to the doctor and they get meds. They don't want to know. So what's coming is a gift or a buffer for those who are aware to perhaps be stabilizers. But we see that the choices have been made in the last few years, especially with the cell phones. and what people use those cell phones for, and how most people are more interested in being entertained than they are informed. So, if you are aware, and you work on being very aware, you will receive greater clarity. But our forewarning with greater clarity is this. Many a person has bemoaned it. The clearer you become, and the more you see things, it can be depressing. That's number one. And number two, it's very isolating, because other people are not interested in knowing what you see, especially when it's not so good. It's the old ignorance is bliss. What else would you like to ask? Our advice is, do not be overly optimistic about energy frequencies shifting everyone and waking them up and balancing everything out. There's too much darkness and criminality on the planet, and it's not that we want it that way. We are simply acknowledging what's happening. And a big cleanup is going to take place. And there's not enough good people on the planet to create reform. So something else will give. Who else has a question, please?
This is Alex.
Alex, welcome.
Thank you. For many years, I've been thinking in the evolution of consciousness and where Earth is and the effects that there is out there, from either the ETs or whatever it is. And lately, I'm looking more at a smaller scale. I'm thinking about the body. And how little do I know about the body, and how little use I am actually taking on my body. And I was wondering that I'm feeling more attracted to healthier foods or exercise, but what I'm most interested right now, it's about how do I communicate with myself. Is there a way we can get really in touch with our body and use it as a vehicle, actually?
Absolutely. Our vehicle mentioned that she has returned from a 50-year class reunion, high school class reunion. And a fair assessment would be, that's our assessment now, is that many people, after 50 years of graduating from school, have proven to take better care of their automobiles, vehicles, trucks, cars, motorcycles, than they do their physical body, the physical vehicle. Do not be one of those. Because your body, if you don't take care of it after a 50-year class reunion, is going to be, let's say, decrepit. You might have a nice brand new car, and a decrepit body that you have to use a walker and crutches and then shovel yourself into the car. And then people, oh, look at my car, how great it is. What about your body? It's all falling apart. So, the number one method for each of you, no matter what age you are, and no matter where you are, you must love your body. You must be able to look yourself in the eye, in the mirror, even buck naked, and to say, I love you, and I am going to be on your side, and I will not do anything or say anything that harms you. That's a big one. That means brushing your teeth, the whole routine. Drinking water, blessing your food, eating wisely, sleeping wisely. It means a whole lifestyle change. Yet if you do this, if you start loving who you are, in other words, you are a body and you are a spirit in a body. And we are asking the self that you are, that is aware, to speak directly to your body and to promise never to betray your body. That means no funky sex, no pornography, no stupid video games. It means Being aware of how you spend your time and your choices, and not dropping down to someone else's denominator. Learning to be alone if you need to be, and bringing people up to the level that you operate at. The more you like and love your body will say, finally. And the cells will start working with you. You will get insight, you will get premonitions, you will get intuitions. And with a little augmentation of walking and hydrating and eating your vegetables, so to speak, your body will start functioning. And as it starts to improve, you may say, wow, this is fantastic. It's like I have a new car. I'm going to take minerals. I'm going to take vitamins. I'm going to invest my time in learning about the body as a chemical being and what chemical components it needs to function. And one of the biggest components that all bodies need to function is sunlight. Yet for 50 years now, you have been encouraged to be afraid of the sun. Yet without sunlight and vitamin D in your body, you cannot heal. So a large majority of people around the world, especially in the USA, are all afraid of the sun. And if you go out in the sun, layers and layers of what that stuff is called there.
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen, which it was proven in the 60s, as soon as sunscreen was added to suntan lotion, the chart was a hockey stick for skin cancer. Now, you don't go out in the sun for 6-8 hours a day, but your body is highly adaptable. The cells are more intelligent than you are in your brain, Alex. And you have to give them credit and give them room. They are not along for the ride with you. You are along for the ride with your body. And if you start paying attention to it, treating it well, loving it, and if you are sexually active, to have loving, loyal, tender, slow, beautiful sexual experiences. This is very healing. Sexual experiences with love and with integrity improve the function and the well-beingness. You've all come here for love, but you're looking for love, and there's a song, all the wrong places, yes? Start with, I love my body. I have a great body. I am so grateful for my body. Look, my feet work, my fingers work, my eyes work, my genitals work, my digestion works, my limitation works. What a miracle I am. And I'm going to love it more, and I'm inviting my body to get better and better, and every day it shall. That's a wonderful approach. Does that fulfill what you want, Alex?
It does. Thanks.
So you see, again, back to Corina's question there about how to use the imagination. These kinds of wordings, these kinds of expectations that my body is going to operate at peak capacity. You don't have to go fill up on steroids or protein powders or lift weights for all this. And yes, that augments a certain shape you can be in. But you can work really hard at being a certain weight or a certain muscleature and still hate yourself. And why do people hate themselves? A lot of it is programming. Some of it is bad choices. You have remorse, regrets, shame, guilt over choices that you've made. Some of it is guilt, shame, remorse over abuse. Many people all over the world have been subjected to sexual abuse. Often it is a karmic thing. It's long practice on this planet of violating people's right to initiate their sexuality as they choose in the years of maturation, usually in your teenage years. Anyone that violates someone sexually, in other words, takes inappropriately, especially from youth, it is a damned soul. It is one of the biggest violations that can occur, to steal someone's sexual innocence and to violate it. So there's some, let's say, understanding that needs to be applied as to why did this happen? What did this do for me? How can I use this to change my life? What did I learn from it? I would never ever do it to anyone. The buck stops here. So these conflicts that people have can prevent someone from loving themselves. I am sinned, I am bad, I stole this, I failed this, etc., whatever your story is. Forgive yourself if you have found yourself in a situation where you have created a violation or when you have been violated. Do not play the role of victim. Our work is based on the idea that you live again and again and again, and that sometimes some lives you can sneak through and there's no karmic blowback. Sometimes the karmic blowback comes in dozens of other lifetimes. The bottom line is this: love yourself, forgive yourself, make wise choices, find the purpose, improve your life from whatever happened, use it as a stepping stone for improvement, and understand that you are here to get the bigger picture, and that everyone, every single person on this planet at one time or another has screwed up, has hurt another, or has been hurt by another. If you carry these wounds forever, then you are going to be dealing with them forever. Learn from your decisions and from your lessons. Find out what it is that you have to change and move forward. Just because you've had problems does not mean that you are flawed. Actually, the more people are challenged, sometimes the greater they rise to victory. But it cannot be a victory with shame or a victory of, see, I told you so. You want it to be one of personal overcoming challenges and finding peace of mind with the rightness of being. Who else has a question?
One question. I'm Raphael, first time here.
Oh, well, you're going to have to talk more than a mumble like this. We cannot hear a thing you're saying. Loud and clear. What's your name?
It's Raphael.
Raphael, good. And what's your question?
The question is around Zika and...
Zika, the virus?
Yes.
It is being used as a fear mechanism. It looks as if it is being boosted by some engineering, and it also looks as if this place in Florida where they are finding a small area where people have the virus but the mosquitoes are not carrying it. Hello, were you born yesterday or a few hours ago? Let's smarten up, people. Understand that Zika is being used, is another one of those, how many have come before this, pandemics to create fear. And of course, many people will succumb to the fear. And this is another test. Are you going to buy fear? Or are you going to say, do I really need to be afraid of this? So, Raphael, what specifically is your question?
The question is around the manipulation of like reproduction, and is that something?
Yes, you see what's happening? So a few weeks ago it was, hey everybody, be careful having sex. And it's not just HIV or some of the other things long time ago. What did you call them? Sexual transmitted diseases. Now, anyone, anywhere. Careful, sex is not, sex is dangerous. Now, when sex becomes a fearful expression, and there's fear and death around sex, you know bad choices are being made, and you are being manipulated. If anything you are doing is creating death with sex, there's something very bad going on. You follow this? Now, There's a big program, Raphael, to reduce the population of the Earth through radiation, through wireless technologies, we fry, through GMOs, through chemtrails, through Zika virus, through vaccinations, you name it. Have you noticed how resilient people are? They're sick. Oh, they're sick. But there's a resilience. You're going to have to get really smart. And remember, you may figure things out, you may want to tell others, they don't want to hear it. Because when they are entrenched in fear, they are entrenched in fear. Big problems are going to come out of Rio. And you're going to see young people who wanted to win so bad, they don't care. They went down there. And you know they are giving out enough condoms in the Olympic Village for every person to have hundreds. We are exaggerating a bit, but they won't. It has always been reported that the Olympic Village is one big sex fest. Young people, at the height of performance, this is encouraged to have these big sexualities. This has always gone on in the Olympic Village. They've always, in the last 20, 40 years, been providing condoms. Now they're simply making it bigger and more than ever. But we see scandals coming out of it. And we will say this, some of the Zika scare, especially with the microencephalism, the small cranium, some of that was not Zika. Some of that coming out of Brazil and other very poor places had to do with extreme toxicity by field workers, by those who pick vegetables, work in the farms. They are working around highly toxic poisons. Brazil is falling apart. It is in very, very bad shape. Venezuela is in very, very bad shape. Part of what's going on in the South American continent, South America, is a purposeful punishment, because South America were going against one of the branches of the New World Order. So lots of chicanery going on. Anything else, Raphael?
No, thank you.
Choose your partners wisely, dear friends, and make sure when you are having sexual experiences that there's love involved, there's caring involved, and that you are not using sex for entertainment, either in person or in pictures, because if you are using sex for entertainment, you are going to get not only perhaps the Zika, but you will get entity possession. And when those entities enter your body, they make you have all kinds of sex that they like. Not healthy, regenerative, loving sex. Very important message, this sex message. All right, who else has a question?
This is David again.
Yes, David.
I've got a question about our relatives and friends who are on the other side.
The deceased.
Yes, and maybe I'll get it back to maybe the guides. I'm going to pick on George Ward. I'm sure he's present here tonight. George used to be the astrologer for the Pleiadians. So George, I'm assuming, I guess I'm kind of...
Let us correct you. That okay. I am assuming.
Yeah.
The word assume is ass of me.
Okay.
It is another word that is very presumptive.
Okay.
And so all of you learn to avoid I am assuming. It lays too much when it may not be true. Please continue.
Okay. I think from a previous channeling quite a while back, you guys said that I think a lot of people on Earth think, oh my God, when I leave here, I'll go and live in paradise and just everything will be like eating grapes and being fanned and taking it easy. And I think you guys mentioned that one of the things that you do when you go over there is whatever you didn't deal with here is like a big buffet table laid out for you to deal with. So my question is, for those that have departed, they obviously are working through their issues, but I'm assuming they're also helping us.
Assuming?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Good catch.
They're helping us as well.
They have to.
in terms of being guides, and I guess.
And it would be more parent. In other words, when you are on the other side, you have a bit of a respite, and then your nose is put to the grindstone, and you are lots of times a lot of work to do. You have to, in terms of family, assess the family, who's left behind, their feelings. The death is always very significant. The time of death, the type of death, the age of death, all of this creates a big impact on the genetic line. When your parents are already deceased, you are going to meet them. If they are not, you are going to, let's say, look at them from the other side, brothers, sisters, or the whole family. The deceased member has to accept responsibility for the joys and for the confusion that they created. Many people can spend a long time between lives. They can look and see that they screwed up. Parents often will act as guides for their children. However, the parental prejudice, the blindness of parents often to the folly of their children, can carry over to the other side. So there's no big, wow, look how smart I am now that I'm dead. More than that, it is, oh wow, did I mess up when I was alive? And I'm happy to see all you other dead people. Oh, there's the beeper. However, these are the areas that I have to work on. The victories are yours. The feel-goods, the honesty, where you lifted others up and you did it with integrity. But anyone who has been deceitful, little itty bit top of a pin deceits or Grand Canyon deceits. Who was it that said there's a special place reserved in hell for the liars and the deceivers? It was that fellow who wrote the Inferno. Dante. Good English literature jumping there. So your behavior is what you are going to work on. And your guides are not going to be pals, pretty much, that have gone over. Your guides are going to be relatives, parents, grandparents, sometimes great-grandparents that you have never met. They track the bloodline. And then your guides would be perhaps those who are not part of the family, maybe beings that you have known from other incarnations, or those who have worked a long time and they work with a type of consciousness. So, for example, the kind of guides that those of you in this room working on awareness would have would be very different in their knowledge, in their advice, in their protection than the guides of an NFL football team. How's that? Because you know the NFL football team would have different goals. They don't care if they smash their brains out. They want the millions. Yes?
Yes.
None of you in this room, we doubt, would take millions to have your brain knocked around. You're smarter than that. You're not here. You didn't come on the planet to do that. But some people come on the planet to be wealthy, to have money and fame at any cost, even if they damage themselves. Look at Muhammad Ali. He was the greatest, he said, but he ended up like any old man, battered around, barely able to walk, not able to think, not able to control his bowels. Now, one thing as you age, you want to control your bowels, dear friends. You don't want to give that one up. Absolutely. You don't want to get in those diapers. No, not only are they expensive, it's not as much fun, big diapers versus those little ones on babies. We are making jokes, but you're getting the point here, that the advantage of being aware is that you're not going to do those things. And you're going to have guides that are going to focus on you. So to finish this idea up, because we heard the beeper. So say your parents are on the other side, they are deceased, and they are not really cognizant or interested in these sort of paranormal, bigger picture ideas. They may check in now and again, and they may watch you. They may have guides with them, that their guides make your parents watch you, so that they can learn about the you that they never knew. But they may guide you in terms of a family decision, or they may grab the steering wheel at the right time, but their guidance is not going to be as astute as a collective of beings who would have the same interest as you. So some of you may have guides that you would consider to be family members that were a little different just as you. It comes from somewhere. It's all in the DNA. You are not the first one in your lines to be big thinkers. Remember that. You are only tweaking what has been there, but it could have been there hundreds of thousands of years ago. So, that's a bit of a picture of how it works. So, the beeper beeped, and that means that the evening has come to a conclusion. Goodness, it flies by. In summation, use your imagination. Be creative. If you are going to quote something, purple flame, orange balls, whatever, you better know what you're talking about. Don't just take our words or words from books or words from other people. There's a lot of disinformation out there. There's a lot of stuff that people repeat and they sound not very bright because they have no idea what they are saying. Study, learn, watch nature, ask for clarity of mind. Give a glance to the sun and the moon and offer thanks. And speaking of thanks, when you wake up in the morning, be grateful that you woke up. Be grateful that you have a body that works. Give thanks for the smallest things and the grandest things. Be generous, be kind, be funny, be witty, be clever. But most of all, be in the right place at the right time. And everything will work out more than fine. We bid you the very best of creations and the very best safety and good fun summer journeys. It's been our pleasure. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.